Is Daniel Anzueto, and I'm happy to welcome you to today's session. If this is your first time attending one of our workshops, let me provide some context on Startout. Startout accelerates the growth of the LGBTQ plus community to drive our economic empowerment, building a world where every LGBTQ entrepreneur has equal access to lead, succeed, and shape the workforce of the future. I'm excited to introduce our host for today, KK Cohen, a queer California-based psychotherapist and career coach. KK, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Danny. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I love the chats coming in. We've got Seal Beach, California. I love it. We have Kansas City, Missouri. We also have a comment that someone said, I would love to get some balance. I may be too relaxed. I love to hear that. We're gonna, jump on your relaxed vibe today. Oh, we also have somebody from Orange County, California. All right, and Erica says that they would love to get too relaxed. I know, I can relate to that. All right, welcome everyone. So today we are talking about an extremely important topic, work-life balance. I feel like this is a topic that, while extremely important, is often ignored or sort of undervalued. So please let me first applaud you for coming to this session because, even coming to a session like this today shows that, you are committing to your care and you're also committing to your success because work-life balance equals sustainability, and sustainability is how we do what we do and what we love to do long term. So pat yourself on the back. Oh, and by the way, this meeting is being recorded. If anyone is uncomfortable with that, let me know. This is going to be more of a private individual reflection workshop, so you won't be sharing out loud. But if anyone doesn't like the idea of it being recorded, just let us know and we can stop it. All right, so like I said, today is going to be a workshop format, which means if you can, please grab a piece of paper or a notebook and a pen because you are going to be doing some writing. It's also okay if, you don't have or like paper and pen and you just want to follow along with a Google Doc open or something like that. But today is really going to give us a chance to do a lot of internal reflection, which is how we find work-life balance. So while I'm getting started, feel free to go grab your pen and pencil and your notebook. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little grounding exercise. I thought it was fitting when we're talking about work-life balance that we start here. So we're going to do an exercise. It's called the five senses check-in. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. Breathe out through your mouth. Now I want you to open your eyes and I want you to focus around your room and I want you to notice and name five things that you can see with your eyes. Just notice them and name them. So I'm noticing plants, many plants, hats, wigs. All right, now if you've done that, I want you to notice four things that you could feel with your hands. So that could be your hands on your pants, on your desk. It could be your butt in the chair. So it could be your hands or your body, four things you can feel. Now I want you to name three things that you can hear. This could be close sounds or far away sounds, but what are three things that you can hear right now? Okay, now I want you to name two things that you can smell right now. All right, the final thing is one thing you can taste right now. All right, so this exercise is fantastic if you're ever feeling stressed, anxious, intensely dysregulated. It's actually a great activity for panic attacks if you've ever experienced panic attacks. And it's also a fantastic activity for kids. If kids are freaking out, this is a great way to sort of bring them back and get them grounded. All right, so here's what I would like you to do next. I would like you to close your eyes and read this out loud. I am worthy of a balanced life. So go ahead and do it. Close your eyes, everyone's muted, and read it out. I am worthy of a balanced life. Now I want you to notice when you read that out, what came up for you? Did you believe it? Were you able to kind of let it into yourself and your body? Does it resonate as sort of a strong hell yes? Or did you find yourself rejecting it in some way or not believing it in some way? Because here's the thing, we could work on sort of all the techniques and the approaches in the world, but if we don't each individually think that we deserve balance, none of it is likely to work. So, an important thing to ask yourself starting out is your struggle implementing work life balance, or is your main struggle that you may not believe that you're worthy of work life balance? Both are really important to understand and both are really important to work on, but it's helpful to know for you what's the bigger challenge. So, if you are struggling to believe that you are worthy of work life balance, this is not unusual. And in fact, if you are in any kind of marginalized identity, like a queer person, for example, you may struggle with this a lot. So, queer folks struggle with work life balance because we deal with very unique challenges that others may not face. So we may have to spend extra energy managing how we show up at work, for example, especially if the environment that we're in is not fully inclusive. This could also mean hiding parts of ourselves or feeling pressure to kind of, prove your worth every day, which can be really exhausting. And then on top of that, we might face actual discrimination, microaggressions, or just the constant stress of sort of wondering, are we going to be accepted or are our full selves going to be accepted? And this all adds up and it makes it harder to start establishing healthy boundaries between work and personal life because we may feel we have so much to prove. And to put on top of that, a lot of us have a history of trauma. We may have a history of feeling excluded or bullied in our younger life, which can put us on guard and make us feel like, we really have to prove ourselves now. So if you are struggling with this, you are not alone. And it's also not your fault, right? There's a lot of reasons why you might be struggling with this. Um, so this is what we're going to do today. First, we're going to be talking about uncovering our values. Then we're going to be talking about how to set boundaries. And then we're going to be creating an action plan. So everybody gets to leave today with a sense of how to do this. Now, you may be wondering why values? Well, values help us understand and reground us into what is important to us and helps us reclaim how we value ourselves and how we value our lives and our time. This then allows us to start creating those healthy boundaries, and then this starts allowing us to take action. So this is sort of how I broke it down today. We'll be doing each piece one at a time. All right, our first activity, we are going to reflect on where we all live on the spectrum. So someone already told us that they're at a number 10. Good for them. Yay. But some of us may live somewhere else on the spectrum. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable and take a moment to visualize where are you on the spectrum. So 0 represents complete burnout. It's constantly stressed, no personal time, feeling overwhelmed. And then 10 represents an ideal balance. So yeah, take just about 30 seconds and reflect and pick a number and write it down. All right. Now I want you to reflect on any kind of recent experiences that you have had that may have contributed to where you are on the spectrum. So we have about 60 seconds for that. So do a little journaling activity where you think about what's putting you at this number. Why are you at this number today? All right. Now I want you to take another moment to reflect on if there are specific life factors that have influenced this current balance. What are the big picture life factors that you are managing right now? And take 1 minute to write them down. All right. Here's the thing about work life balance, it's not static, it's going to change on you day to day. And the number can change by the day, by the hour, by the minute. But it's really important when we talk about wanting to manage this work life balance that we get very good at assessing, hey, where am I? And where would I like to be, right? Because without knowing where you are and where you want to be, it's really hard to make a plan. So this is a great activity to start, doing that kind of acknowledging and recognizing. All right, the second part of this activity, we are going to write down energy drains and energy boosters. I want you to do a column on your page, one on the left, one on the right. You're going to write on the left drains, you're going to write on the right boosters. And I want you to think through what are the main drains in your life and what are the boosters. The drains bring you down, take your energy away, really exhaust you, and the boosters lift you up, bring you energy, bring you spirit and life. And you have 1 minute to do that. All right. Now I want you to reflect on any surprises or any patterns you see in what you've written down. Take a couple of seconds. Maybe we'll take 30 seconds for this. But yeah, think about what are you seeing here? All right, come on back. The last reflection we're going to do on this is to think Are there things that you could cut back on in the drains list? And are there ways to incorporate more energy boosters into your week? Just give it a minute to think about it. Maybe you don't have any answers right now, but just start thinking about how might you increase the boosters, decrease the drains. All right, come on back. We're going to move to the next part of our activity. All right, so now we are moving into one of the more important parts of the session today, which is values. Values are key in setting work-life balance because they help you figure out what matters to you. And for queer folks, this can be even more meaningful, especially when we're navigating spaces that may not always reflect our values or affirm our identities. So when we are clear on what are our values, whether it's, community, authenticity, whatever speaks to you, you can really prioritize your time and energy in ways that reflect who you really are and where you want to go. And without your values, it's really easy to get caught up in, the demands of trying to meet other people's expectations, which can lead to burnout. And the other thing about values is this is the building block to how we begin to set boundaries. So here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to look at this list or reflect on your own values. You may have values that are not even on this list, but I want you to select 5 to 7 values that feel essential to how you want to live and work and how you want to move through the world. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes. I'm going to set a timer because I really want us to dig down deep and think about, okay, what are your values? All right, come on back. Okay, so now we're going to do something fun. What we're going to do is we are all going to pull up our calendars. Could be on your phone, could be on your computer. It could be just in your mind, you can think back, but I want you to pull up your calendar for the past week and I want you to assess how much of your time was spent on activities that reflect these values. And are there time blocks dedicated to tasks that feel disconnected from your values? So take, I don't know, a minute or two to reflect on this. Look at your calendar and assess for yourself, how much am I using my time to support my values? All right, welcome back. Now we are going to move on to the boundaries portion of the webinar. So boundaries are probably the single greatest tool we have for creating work-life balance. But again, you have to believe that you are worthy of them and you have to know why you are holding them. Without strong boundaries, you can't really live those values, right? Because there's unlimited things we can do in this world and lots of people wanting our time and attention. We need those boundaries to keep us focused on our values and sort of who we are. And again, given the unique pressures that we face as queer business people, queer entrepreneurs, it's super important for us. All right, so today I'm going to give you 5 great boundaries to consider enacting in your life. There are many more. Um, these don't work for everybody, but these are 5 that I typically at least propose to clients, and they tend to be very valuable. Plus, you might have your own sense of boundaries, and I want to encourage you to be very individualized about that. All right, so the first one, setting clear work hours and sticking to them. This feels simple, but even though it's simple, it is insanely powerful. And, a lot of people in the old days, this was just how life was. These days, this is not, really how it is. So being able to set those clear work hours and being able to stick to them is a very powerful and simple way to kind of reclaim parts of your life. Now, I also understand some people maybe in work environments where this is impossible. In those situations, there might be ways that you could meet in the middle, right? Where maybe you don't get to do like a 9 to 5 schedule, but there are certain places where you can boundary off your life outside of work. The other one I want to bring up is prioritizing, delegating, and delaying. This is a beautiful way to create boundaries, beginning to kind of let go of the need to do everything yourself. A lot of us might have this sense of, we want to be seen as competent. We need to be seen as competent. We feel that pressure. And we also, may not want to be reliant upon other people or to be a drain on other people. But, not prioritizing, delegating, or delaying really kind of holds us back from where we want to go. So being able to kind of start to do this can be really important. Digital detox. Okay, so most likely when you looked at your calendar, what you didn't see on there was the time spent on social media, right? Because you're not putting that on a calendar, or maybe you were, and that would be actually a great way to boundary social media. But stuff in the digital world, it has this way of kind of sneaking into our minds and our bodies and our souls in ways that we don't even realize. And if you really think about everything you're doing online and measure it up to your values, some of that stuff might stay, but a lot of it might go. So digital detox or digital boundaries is a very important thing to think about when you're trying to consider work-life balance, right? Because if you're trying to find more time for the things that really feed your soul, that might be taking away from it. All right, the next one, I want to show you a little visual aid. This is called the values impact matrix. On the bottom, you have low value, low impact tasks. One rung up, you have low value, high impact tasks. One rung up, you have high value, low impact tasks. And at the highest level, you have high value, high impact tasks. Now, we would all love to have a life that's all high value, high impact tasks, and probably none of us do. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to practice identifying and also moving some of these up if we can. So first, what I would like you to do is I would like you to identify one high value, high impact task in your life. And this is a task where not only does it align with your values, but it moves the ball forward in terms of your business or whatever your, goals are. So take 30 seconds, 40 seconds to identify one of these in your life. All right. Now I would like you to see if you can identify one high value, low impact task. So this really aligns with your values, but it doesn't really, move the ball forward in terms of some of your goals. So I want you to take 30 seconds to see if you can identify a high value, low impact.
Okay, there's a question in the chat if you could define impact again.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, is impact subjective? Impact is very subjective. So the impact is how, the goals you have that you want to achieve. So for example, if you have a big picture goal around your business of, you know, getting 10 new clients in a month, that could be one type of impact. Um, or impact could be a little more subjective around maybe some family goals. So, for example, I would like my kids to feel like I'm around more often. That could be another type of impact. So, yes, impact is subjective, but it basically means moving the ball forward in the specific goals that you have. Does that answer the question? All right, I'll take no chats as a yes. All right. And thank you for speaking up. All right, now I would like you to think about the high value, low impact task. And I'd like you to think about, is there a way that you could make this task a little higher impact? So, for example, I'm going to give you a couple of ideas. Could you combine this task with another high impact task to make it a little more high impact? Could you allocate more time and resources to the task to make it a little more high impact? Um, can you involve others in this task to kind of multiply its effectiveness? So you might not have an answer right now, but just to start thinking about, okay, the high value, low impact tasks are a space where we can make a lot of change, right? Because it's already reflecting our values. We know it has some impact on our goals. Can we get it to that next level? So take just a minute to reflect on even this idea, how you kick it up to that next level. All right. Now I'd like you to take a little bit of time to see if you can identify both the low value, high impact tasks and the low value, low impact. So low value means, it's not something that feels like it's aligning with who you are, but wow, it gets the job done. So think about for a few seconds if you can identify at least one of those. All right, now if you were able to identify one of these, this is a fantastic contender for delegation, right? Because this task, it has an impact, but you personally either don't enjoy it or it doesn't really align with what you value. So this is a great contender to delegate to somebody else. So I would highly encourage you to consider that. All right, now the last one I will just sort of leave you to think about, which is the low value, low impact. Oh yeah, Anne says something great. Also a possibility to do that in a way that more aligns with your values. Absolutely. Great thinking, Anne, right? Just like trying to think of the different ways how you can move this up the ladder. Yeah. All right, so the last one is low value, low impact. These most likely this is your boundary setting space where it doesn't really align with your value and you also know it doesn't really have an impact on what you want to do. This is a great contender to begin to hold boundaries and say, I really don't need to be doing that, don't want to be doing that. How do I, find the sort of strength inside of myself to say no to that? No is incredibly powerful in these spaces. All right, the last one I wanted to talk about in terms of boundaries It's called the Pomodoro technique. Now, this is a very simple technique, but it can be very useful. It's basically where you work for 25-minute focused intervals. And you follow that by a 5-minute break. And then after 4 or 5 sessions, you take a longer 20 to 30-minute break. I would suggest if you were going to try this out, use a timer. So either a physical timer or apps like there's an app called Focus Booster that is very helpful for this. But keep track of those intervals. And then what you're going to do is you're going to prioritize one task during each session. And you're going to do your best to resist distraction. So no checking emails, no social media. You are going to be fully present knowing that you're only doing it for, this one set time zone. And during the 5-minute breaks, you're going to step away completely. You're going to stretch if you can. I know maybe not everybody, has this opportunity at work. Stretch, take a walk, do something completely unrelated, have some Legos, play Legos, something to really, really take a break. But this is a way that, you can sort of maximize your impact, and you can also like literally have boundaries around your time. It can be really helpful. All right. So, of these five or of your own, I would like you to take 1 minute to pick one personal and one professional boundary that you are going to think about enacting this week. And I'm going to give you, I don't know, one minute, maybe 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this. So think about what is one personal and one professional boundary you might be able to set this week. All right, welcome back. We have a couple of chats. First of all, Anne says, I both love this cat and I'm disturbed by it. All right, I love that duality of thinking. Let's see. What if you don't work on your business every day, but you still think about it? Wow, what a great question. So I think Sharon's question gets to something really important, right? Which is when we're talking about boundaries, we're talking about sort of pragmatic things, and we're also talking about our mental mind space. And the mental mind space is the hardest to create boundaries around, right? Because if you're always thinking about things, you're never really taking a break. So my suggestion there would be to reflect on where are activities or times that you are able to take a mental break from work. Is there something you're doing, playing music, chatting with your partner, hanging out with friends, going to a concert, going kayaking, reading a book, to really identify where are the spaces where my mind does take a break. And that might become a priority for you, right? Because Sharon, you're so right. If you don't mentally take those breaks, then you're never off work. And then if you're never off work, number one, you don't have as much impact because it's always this like slow bleed. And number two, you may not be living your values. So that's one idea I have. All right. All right, Sharon, was that helpful? That answer? All right. Yes, great. All right, so we are basically at the end of our session today, and here's what we're going to do in the last couple minutes. All right, Bridget, I'm going to get back. This is a great question. I'm going to get back to it after we do this last piece, because some folks might want to, split early, and I'll stay around for some of these questions. But great question. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do a really brief action plan. You've basically been doing your action plan this whole hour. So good job. Thank you for sticking with me. I know I had you do a lot of work today. This was a very hands-on workshop. But what you're going to do is you're going to look at everything that you've written so far, and I want you to write 3 big takeaways or aha moments. That's first what you're going to do. And you have 1 minute to kind of review what you've done so far, what you've written so far, and identify 3 big takeaways for yourself. They could be anything, right? They could have been from any activity or slide. I'm going to give you 1 minute to do that. All right, Graham, good to have you. Thank you. All right. Now, the last thing we're going to do is we are going to put a couple of objectives into this action plan. So, objectives are basically things that we're going to write down that we want to enact in the next week, and they're going to be 3 action steps. Now, I'm going to tell you the best way to write objectives, or not maybe the best for everybody, but this is helpful for me. So, SMART objectives are specific, right? They're not vague. They're measurable. You know if you're going to be able to achieve them or not. They're achievable, right? Because if you set yourself up for failure, that's going to be hard. So make them manageable, and make them smaller rather than larger. And then relevant to what you want, relevant to your values, what we talked about. And then really importantly, time bound. So, if you just say, hey, I'm going to do this over the next 6 months, that's probably not time bound enough. So for example, I'm going to implement the Pomodoro technique for 3 work tasks each day for the next 5 days, right? It's all time bound. So think about 3 objectives that you could come up with based on what you've been working on today that you could implement in the next week. And I want to see if you can make them SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes for this one. And by the way, this is one that you might not finish right here, but you can always come back to it. And that's true of any of the things we worked on today. You might need more time for any one of these, and that's normal. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. This is the beginning of your action plan. It doesn't need to be the end, right? You could spend more time with this, maybe take a break, do something fun, come back to this at another time. But what I wanted to do today was at least throw out a lot of ideas and get you thinking about, the more pragmatic ways of achieving work-life balance. All right, so I do have one great question from Bridget. While I answer Bridget's question, if there are any more questions, please feel free to ask them. Otherwise, you are free to go or you are free to stick around for the question portion. All right, Bridget asks, what would you advise for someone at 3 on the burnout scale who has a lot of things in the high value, high impact quadrant? Well, first, Bridget, I would say congratulations, because that's a great space to be in, right? You're busy, you're not burnt out. And you also are doing a lot of meaningful things in your life that have value to you and also achieve your goals. I think if you have come to this presentation today and there's something, um, oh wait, Bridget says, no, no, very close to burnout. Ah, I see, I see. So Bridget is saying that they're still feeling burnt out, even though they're having a lot in the high value, high impact quadrant. Well, I might say that if that's the case, you might assess more like your energy drains and boosters. So, for example, things might be aligning with your values, and they might be having a lot of impact, but for whatever reason, maybe you're a highly sensitive person, or maybe there's other reasons. Um, your current work life balance is really stressing you out. So I would suggest maybe you look closer at those energy drains and boosters and maybe spend more time focusing on that than the that quadrant. Like maybe that quadrant is less helpful for you. And right now the energy drains and boosters, to focus more on, all right, what is boosting me? What is filling me up? And we didn't talk a lot about self-care today because in my mind it's sort of a given through all of this, right? Self-care is supported by your values, and you're going to be sort of scheduling it into your day. But it might be, a space where you might to do more like self-care checking. Yeah. Anne says, can you help identify booster versus drain? I mean, I feel pretty good surfing social media, but logically that has to be a drain. Ah, great question, Anne. So here is a hack. um, Pay attention to your body. Your body will always tell you if something is a drain or a boost. And everyone is different in how that registers in their body. So you might have to do some work exploring this, but I personally know that I'm experiencing a drain for a couple of reasons. Like I could have a shutdown response where I'm completely detached from my body and I'm not registering any signals from my body. Like that is usually a drain for me. My body's just not available to me. Or I could also have a real dysregulated response where I read something that is stressful and I might like feel my heart racing or like my face gets a little bit red. And both of those for me, I know that's a drain versus a boost. When I feel a boost in my body, I feel a lightness in my chest, my shoulders go back, I smile, I engage with people. So that's a hack, to really start focusing on your body. Although if you're not used to doing that, it can take time, right? Because like a lot of us are detached from our bodies a lot, but that's a very, very helpful way to identify booster versus drain. All right. Any other questions? These y'all have been such a great audience. These questions have been so great. I've gotten great, not only questions, but ideas and feedback. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating, and good job being here today.
Fantastic, KK. Thank you so much for your time today. We're incredibly grateful for your session. I'm dropping in the chat a link to a document that we've created that has the recording from the first session that KK did with us in case you missed it, as well as the RSVP for our next session, which is on Tuesday, October 22nd, Unleashing Your Queer Superpower, Authenticity as Your Business Edge. So we hope that you'll join us for that final session with this series with KK, and have a great rest of your day.
Oh, thanks, Danny. And one more thing, I put this little QR code up. This is my website. If you want to get in touch with me or you need additional support, reach out. I'm here for you.
Fantastic, KK. Thanks so much. Everybody have a great rest of your day.